did want to kind of go back to your experience at Odesk, or I guess now now Upwork. What were some of the biggest challenges with it as a marketplace at the time, and what were some of your key learnings from it?
Yeah, I mean, Upwork, Odesk, I think I got really lucky. We were sort of really at the knee of the curve. Um, and I think the first learning, I think a good business model when you stumble into it. And people would ask what we were doing to drive all this growth. And there's sort of a joke that we'd say, we're just trying to stay the hell out of the way and not screw it up. So there are definitely, and meanwhile, I've also been around long enough and been both, running businesses and been advising businesses that you see businesses like Upwork that just take off and they just have phenomenal product market fit and a lot of organic, healthy growth. And then you have businesses that you just feel like you are constantly swimming upstream and everything is just a lot harder than it should be. And I think, that was one of the learnings, certainly in hindsight, is just how good that business model was and how, they had such strong network effects. Everybody wants to have network effects and everybody thinks that every marketplace should have network effects. It's not the case. And it's also not binary. You can have very mild network effects. You can have very strong network effects. So some of it is like when you stumble across the right business model, you can just feel it. Um, the other thing that we talked a lot about early days at Odesk was just that chicken and egg dynamic, right? You have to get that supply and demand, liquidity and transaction flowing. And generally early on, you have to fake the chicken, which is, one of Gary Swart, the former CEO's favorite phrases. We spent a lot of time faking the chicken. Before I arrived, if you posted a job on Odesk, they'd say, "Great, let our magical algorithm go to work and find you the perfect freelancer." And so you would get on the phone and actually get on Skype and start pinging people all over the world trying to fill that seat, right? So they were faking the chicken behind the scenes, trying to fill that supply, and they were generating the demand, and then they were running around sort of faking the supply side of the marketplace to fill that. And then once they got a certain level of volume and liquidity, then they kind of burned the boats and said, all right, we've got enough supply now, we've got enough demand, we're going to set up the profiles, set up the process, and get out of the middle. So as you think about particularly early stages, don't feel like it all needs to happen automatically from the get-go. You can and should be putting a lot of manual effort into at least one side of the marketplace just to get that liquidity flowing. Um, and then I think the other sort of major thing that I played a role in is just the idea that like marketplaces need moderation and rules. And every single marketplace startup I have either been a part of, advised, consulted, everybody thought that you were supposed to just let the marketplace sort itself out. That does not work. Like you need rules, you need guidelines, you need moderation, you need curation. If you let the marketplace sort itself out, what that means is 10, 20, 50, 100 of your customers have a terrible experience before you have enough data to know that that supplier sucks. And that is not, it's not a great way to build your business. So you have to be in the middle and play a role to make sure that your early users in particular are having a phenomenal experience. And that's where that faking the chicken comes in. If you got to get in there and make sure that they get what they need, do it. And then you can figure out how to automate that function over time. But users who have a bad experience, they don't blame themselves for picking a bad seller. They blame you and your brand and your name, and they go and put your name on Trustpilot, not, oh, I feel really terrible that I picked the wrong freelancer, or I picked the wrong class, or I picked the wrong project leader. It's on you. So just know that and build that structure in. And the I ran trust and safety, I ran customer service. And again, when I started at Skillshare, like we had very little moderation and curation of our classes. When you stumbled upon the cooking class of the guy in his white tank top cooking rice in his apartment, it's not what you're paying for, right? So, we had to step in and put some manual curation and moderation in place.